Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we will make a new test for the moss mix. So I took just what I had because of the lockdown. That is to say, peat brick that I will cut into pieces to quick model a background. At least we will have a natural material unlike the previous test. The natural acidity of the peat should be useful for us. I show you a close-up so you can see the texture up close. Process is the same as in my first video on this topic. On the other hand, I placed the peat in the water much longer than in the other video. The pieces spent more than 2 days in the water. So we take back the terrarium of shame. I partially stopped taking care of it, so everything dried, except the bromeliads, but the one at the top right died. I took apart all the false bottom I built in the first video. If you haven't seen yet, go to watch it now. After 2 days of immersion, peat brick are easier to cut, but it deserves 4 days. In the middle, it's still a little hard to cut. I cut and placed my pieces more or less randomly, bearing in mind that it must stay in place in the background. So if the background has to lean, it has to be in the direction of the back glass. I decided to keep the vine, because bromeliads are still alive, so I do 2 parts, separated by water. I also use a skewer to keep the piece pretty much together and cut them with a wire cutter. Once all is in place, it looks like this. I grant you it's not awesome, but it is just to test. As I mentioned earlier, I just created a kind of river leading to the pump that we will put back in place. You will later see that I should have gone higher, but I had left a few space to unclog the pipe if necessary. I also made a partition with a piece of stainless steel grid to prevent pieces of peat from clogging the pump, and I placed it around it. Now we are going to take the power pump. I show you how I plug the pump, but if you are not interested in, feel free to fast forward the video a few minutes. The pump gets the water in 8mm pipe, and then comes out in 6mm, and is sent back to the nozzle in 4mm. I have a water tank with a high pressure fitting of 8mm integrated, which is very useful. We are going to use a 6mm to 4mm reduction, and a nozzle with a 4mm input. And a power pump with a pressure of 9 bars. There is only to connect the entrance of the tank, then the entrance and exit to the pump. I had to drill a 10mm hole for the nozzle bulkhead. Besides, my drill bit was damaged and I broke the glass of the tank. I connect the nozzle to the reduction and the pump to the tank. I make small tests cause the stuff has remained in a closet several years, but all seems work correctly. For the mist, I have a timer from the brand Dragon. I will plan 5 misting per day during 10 seconds. I avoid doing more, especially at the beginning, because I don't want to drown the bromeliads. So 8 AM, noon, 4 PM, 8 PM, and 1 in the night at 2 AM. At this moment, I saw that my water tank don't have a joint, so it leaks. To repair that, I took standard plumbing joints that I cut with cutting knife. Mission complete, it doesn't leak anymore. I mixed the moss mix exactly the same way, except that I let the mixture an hour before applying. Then I covered all possible parts of the background. Now let's wait. Two months and a half later, it grew. It takes much longer time on the vine for the good reason that it's starting to get a little far from the lighting, but it is nice to finally see green moss. It grows in a lot of small places, At the top right, it is much more pronounced, and the moss grows as you get closer to the lighting. At the top left, I have moss and other type of plants that appear in the moss. At the bottom right, no surprise, but it is complicated because of the shadow of the vine. Finally, at mid-height, it's a little more sparse. Up in the middle, I had algae starting on the Hygrolon area which I left behind. In fact, I should have removed everything. So I seal with peat. To finish, bromeliads are doing well, and I even have a new one which grows on the side. To conclude, the moss mix works for me if placed on a natural support like peat with enough water and light. It could work as well on resinate background with peat. On the other hand, I just failed with Hygrolon, but I know that some people get something of it. For your information, I stayed on the same parameters as before, so same lighting, same water and no fertilizer. And I saw clearly that the algae started from Hygrolon. In any case, if you liked the video, give me a blue thumb and leave a comment, and be sure to subscribe and activate the bell. See you in the next video, bye!